this is Shweta from Dharamshala Animal Rescue.
Hi everyone, this is Amy with Primates Incorporated and ReelTime Animal Rescue.
Hello everyone, this is Becky at Blue for the Horse-Linkshire Misfit Mustangs.
ReelTime Animal Rescue with Julie McLaughlin of Indiana Skunk Rescue.
Yep, get her. You got her? Judy, God bless you. Oh my God.
This is a big brown bat who is really enjoying his mealworms.
They actually just had their breakfast.
Hello and welcome. I'm Krista Embry, founder of ReelTime Animal Rescue and Compassion Education Connect and Inspire. What you're about to see today is happening right now in the real world, and you're going to meet people who are helping animals and protecting our planet. When you learn with compassion, you don't just gain knowledge, you create change. So today isn't just about watching, it's about you and the difference you can make in our world. Welcome to Compassion Education Connect and Inspire. We're so glad you're here.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. But before we get started, actually, I'm just going to give you a little bit of I guess the word is a warning. So I'm here in my teaching office, and behind me, you can see a whole bunch of things. But what you can't see is what's all in front of me, which includes a few live animals. So I'm just going to warn you from the very beginning, they may make some noise. And some of them about this time of day, because where I'm from, I'm living in London, England. It is getting close to dinner time. And so some of my animals may make some noise because they're going to want to get fed. So if that happens, we'll just listen to lots of animal noises. And I may need to step away for a few seconds to give them something to eat before their real dinner time. But that was not the topic of the class. The topic of the class is going to be forthcoming. Here we go. Okay, so this class is about a group of animals called birds of prey. So this class is birds of prey with Mr. Ofston. And I realize that unless you also have the last name Ofston, which some of you joining this call actually do have the last name Ofston, you know it's rather hard for other people to say that name. So I welcome you to just refer to me as Mr. O. So this is going to be birds of prey with Mr. O. So birds of prey are, I would say, a very famous group of birds. They are a group of birds that a lot of people know about. They're famous because we might have seen them before. They're famous because they might be on your country flag. They might be your country symbol. You may have seen them in a zoo. You may have read a book about them. But what a lot of people don't know is what makes a bird of prey a bird of prey. So this class, we're going to get into that and understand what makes this group of birds so special and very unique. Okay, so to begin with, let's see. We'll say bye-bye to our hawk. Let's see. Okay, we're going to start off with this picture. So on this screen, everyone take a good look at this picture. This is a picture of an artist drawing of a group of birds of prey. So look closely on the screen if you can. And I want you to see if you can identify one of these birds of prey. You already know what its name is. So take a few seconds and take a look, noticing that there's lots of different kinds. If anyone wants to shout out, you can unmute yourself and you can shout out a bird of prey that you recognize by its species name. Go ahead. If anyone wants to unmute themselves, go ahead.
Osprey, secretary bird.
Wow, secretary bird. Owl.
Owl.
Wow, I didn't want to shout out.
Okay.
Fantastic. Very good. Okay, so quite a lot of these. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, now you all shout out a whole bunch of them. Now, I would guess that there may be one or two that you've never seen before, or you don't know their full name. But what I actually want to bring your attention to is the fact that they're all quite different. Now, some of them are brown. Some of them have longer legs. Some have short legs. Some have a big wingspan. Some have a white head. They all have some differences, but there is a uniting group of features. by which we can identify these. And right away, that animal I talked about that was making a little bit of noise is making noise. I'm going to go ahead and step away for about 8 seconds. So go ahead and count to 8, and I should be back. Okay, did you count to 8? I'm back. Okay, I might have been back in less than 8 seconds. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our chalkboard, and we are going to answer this question. What are birds of prey? What makes a bird of prey a bird of prey? So in order to answer this question, we're going to look at 3 things. And when we look at these 3 things, I need you all to have your hands ready because we're going to use our hands to demonstrate what makes birds of prey birds of prey. Okay, the first feature that we're going to talk about is the fact that birds of prey have sharp hooked beaks. So I want everyone to get your finger and make a sharp hooked beak. Okay, you got that? Sharp hooked beak. Everyone, I see lots of sharp hooked beaks being formed. Excellent. Well, this sharp hooked beak is a primary characteristic that makes birds of prey very, very unique. Actually, I just used the word raptors. Sometimes we also call birds of prey raptors. So if I use the word raptor, I'm also referring to the same thing, birds of prey. Okay, so lots of sharp hooked beaks out there. And this is very important. And with the second feature that we look at, I need your hands out again. Birds of prey also have sharp claws. They have sharp claws that we call talons. So I need everyone to get your fingers. I need you to make 3s with your fingers and make sharp claws, which we call talons. And sharp hooked beaks, sharp claws, which we call talons, are characteristics that define what makes birds of prey birds of prey. And with these 2 things, this helps us with the third characteristic, which is the fact that the diet of birds of prey, or the diet of raptors, is meat. Birds of prey eat meat. So here's a picture of a bird of prey. Somebody shouted this out earlier. This is an osprey that is eating its favorite kind of meat, which is fish. These are water-loving birds of prey because they depend on meat that is found in the rivers, mostly fish. Okay, so these 3 things are the characteristics of birds of prey. And it's very important that we look at them all together because they're sharp hooked beak. So I need to see your sharp hooked beaks again. And you can use your other hand for your sharp claws, which are talons. These are very important because birds that eat meat have some difficulties because birds do not have teeth. Teeth that we have, a lot of other organisms may have, but teeth are very good for chewing, for tearing, and for grinding up our food in our mouth. And birds do not have teeth. There is not a single bird that has teeth. But if you eat meat, like that large fish, you're going to need to be able to tear it. And so that's what their sharp hooked beak is for. Their sharp hooked beak is for tearing meat because this is how they can get their food that they catch themselves into small bites that they can then swallow. The other characteristic that they need for their eating is their sharp claws because birds do not have arms with fingers for picking things up. Instead of having arms like we would have, they have wings. And their wings are covered with feathers. They do not have fingers. They cannot pick things up with their wings. So they need something else that's going to be able to grab their food. And their sharp claws, their talons, is how they not only grab their food, but it's also how they can grab it and hold it so that the food stops struggling. So these are important characteristics that make raptors or birds of prey very unique. So if we look back at this picture that we had before, all of these birds may look different in different ways, but the 3 things that unite them is the fact that they have a sharp hooked beak, they have sharp claws called talons, and they eat meat. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to go deep diving right away into a very advanced topic that some of you, I think some of you joining this morning might be in kindergarten. Some of you might be 4 years old, some might be 6 years old. I think we have some 11-year-olds. This, regardless of if you're 4 or 11, this is a really advanced topic that I just want to share with you because it's one of my favorite things to talk about. Taxonomy is the study of how things are grouped together, the way that we classify and sort out all the different kinds of animals and plants and understand more about them and understand how they're related or how they're different. So we're going to look at something with taxonomy to understand something about birds of prey. And in doing so, we're going to learn that there are 4 orders, or we can say 4 groups of birds of prey. There's 4 different kinds. Now, there's lots of different species around the world, but there's 4 main groups that birds of prey are grouped into. And with this, I'm going to teach you some enormously large and complicated and long and hard to pronounce words. Are you ready? Okay, because by the end of this class, you are going to be able to say all of these very long, enormous, complicated words that are kind of difficult to pronounce and read. So are you ready? I'm not sure if we're all ready. Okay, I'm ready because I'm very excited about this. Okay, so the first word, which is ridiculously long, is cathartiformes. Yes, that's what I said. Cathartiformes. Okay, so I want you all to pronounce with me. Cathartiformes. That was incredible. Wow, you guys are really good at this. So cathartiformes is one of the groups of birds of prey. Now, on Earth is a cathartiformes. Well, I don't know, but we'll get to the next one. Okay, the next one, which is really long and complicated, is a different group of birds. We're just practice saying out loud. The way you pronounce one is, get ready for it, it's accipitriformes. Accipitriformes. Ooh, well done. I heard a lot of you say that really, really well. What on earth is accipitriformes? What does this have to do with birds of prey? Well, just wait. We're going to get to the next one. The next one is strigiformes. Can you all say strigiformes? Okay, strigiformes. And finally, we have falconiformes. Wow, you guys are actually really good. I didn't need to say that very many times. You got it right away. Okay, now, interestingly, I think some of you might have seen falconiformes and seen the word falcon in it. So maybe you're starting to understand, oh, there's something hidden behind these very long words, and there is. These 4 words are in a different language called Latin. And biologists like myself, we use Latin as an international language that everyone in the world of biology understands in order that we don't have the confusion of which language are we speaking. We speak in Latin when we speak about biology and species names. So what on earth are these things? Okay, you've waited long enough. Cathartiformes are a group of birds of prey that I would call New World vultures. What is a New World vulture? We'll get to that later. Accipitriformes are a group of birds of prey, which includes a lot of different kinds, including the hawks, the eagles, and a bird called the kite. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. Strigiformes are owls. Oh, owls. So we know what owls are. I think a lot of you know owls. A lot of you like owls. And falconiformes, as you might have guessed, include the falcons and another group of birds called caracaras. Okay, that I think is probably enough taxonomy time. That was a lot of big words, a lot of complicated facts, but the main point I was trying to make is there's 4 different groups of birds of prey, but all of them still have primary characteristics of having a sharp hooked beak, sharp claws called talons, and all of them eat meat. So if you have those 3 characteristics, you are classified, whether you're a cathartiformes, an accipitriformes, a strigiformes, or a falconiformes, you are classified as a bird of prey. Now, we're just going to do a little bit of guessing. I like to guess. Which group of these 4, vultures, hawks, eagles, kites, owls, or falcons, which one do you think is the smallest group with the fewest number of different species? So just have a think, and I'm going to tell you the smallest group is cathartiformes. It's the New World vulture with a total of 7 species. And the next smallest is the falconiformes, the falcons and caracaras, with 65 different kinds of species. Now, you might have heard of one of them. The very famous one is the one I actually have on my shelf, the peregrine falcon. The peregrine falcon is probably one of the most famous of the falcons because it is known as being the very fastest, not just bird of prey, but the very fastest living thing in the world. And it can reach diving speeds of sometimes up to 200 miles per hour. So incredibly, incredibly fast. But did you know there's 64 other kinds of falcons, which I think is absolutely incredible. Okay, the next, I'm going to say smallest, but it's not that small. But the next smallest group is the owls, with a total of 248 different kinds of owls. Now just think about that. 248 different species of owls. I find that absolutely amazing that there are that many owl species in the world. And number biggest of these groups is the hawks and eagles, with a total of 252, which is just a little bit more than owls. So quite amazing that collectively there are this many different kinds of birds of prey. Okay, now what we're going to do now is we're going to look at one bird of prey as our feature for today. So we're going to bring out my wildlife notes. This is Mr. O's wildlife notes. And we are going to pay attention to one specific kind of bird of prey. Okay, and this one is, let's turn the page, is, oh dear. Oh, there's another long, very complicated word on the screen. I don't know if any of you can even read that. Even if you're really good at reading, this is a very long set of words. I'm going to read it for you. This is the bird we're featuring is called Haliaeetus leucocephalus. Has anyone ever heard of Haliaeetus leucocephalus before? Probably not, except I think you have, because I think joining me this afternoon, I'm pretty sure almost all of you are from the United States of America. So I think almost all of you, except for my family that's joining me, we live in England. All of you from the United States of America, I think you actually have heard of Haliaeetus leucocephalus before, but not by this name. You might have known it by a different name called the bald eagle. Haliaeetus leucocephalus is the Latin name. Oh, I got some thumbs up. I got lots of thumbs up. You all probably are very familiar with Haliaeetus leucocephalus because it is none other than the bald eagle. So it's interesting because the scientific name, the Latin name, actually has a lot of information in it. Haliaeetus means sea eagle, and leucocephalus means white head. So if you put all of this together, their Latin name actually has a lot of information. It's a sea eagle with a white head, and we happen to call this white-headed sea eagle the bald eagle, especially if you're from the United States of America, or as you know, it is your national symbol. So bald eagle is not called bald eagle because it has nothing on top of its head, no feathers covering its head. It is called bald eagle because in Old English, hundreds of years before we were born, the word bald didn't necessarily refer to like not having hair on top of your head. It simply referred to white. So white eagle, bald eagle was not referring to not having hair on top of your head, but just in the fact that it had a white head, which is a very appropriate name. Now, if we look at this white-headed eagle called the bald eagle, you can quite easily see the characteristics that make a bald eagle a bird of prey. Do you see the sharp-hooked beak? Do you see the sharp claws, which we call talons? And this one is indeed eating fish, which is a kind of meat. So definitely we got a bird of prey with us. Okay, birds of prey, for the most part, males and females look identical. And so in the case of the bald eagle, you can't really tell the difference between male and female, except if you see them close to each other. Often you can notice that the female is bigger than the male. And so in this picture, I'm not 100% sure, but looking at this picture, I'm pretty sure that the one on the left is bigger. It looks bigger than the one on the right. And I am fairly certain that this is a female and a male because the female appears to be larger. And this is quite important because although both the male and the female do help raise their family, they help raise their chicks in their nest, but the female is the one who spends most of the time sitting on the egg. And so she needs to be a little bit larger so she has enough energy to make it all the way through their incubation of those eggs until they hatch. So when a bald eagle nests, they are also quite famous for making humongous nests. And some of the bald eagle nests that have been found in trees have been amongst the heaviest nests found in the entire world. They make massive nests in the trees out of sticks and other material. And this is so that, of course, they are safe from predators. Predators can't get to the top very easily. And both the mom and the dad bald eagles take care of guarding it from other birds that might be flying overhead. So they do a really good job of raising their family in these ginormous nests in the trees. When the eaglets hatch, they are, of course, they're just little balls of fluff. And as they grow up, they will eventually leave the nest and begin to fly. But when they first leave the nest, they don't have a bald white head. They don't have the white tail that their adults have. They actually take almost 5 years to become an adult and get the white head and the white tail feathers. So sometimes you may actually even be able to see a young bald eagle. And sometimes people confuse it with the golden eagle, thinking that, oh, it doesn't have a white head, but actually it might also just be a young bald eagle who is less than 5 years old. Okay, so bald eagles are very closely associated with water. They are birds of prey that like to live right next to water, whether that's the river, a lake, even the sea or the ocean. And the main reason for this is because bald eagles' preferred diet is things found in the water, mostly fish. Although in the wintertime, the bald eagles will migrate with all the ducks and the geese from North America. They'll migrate with them because in the wintertime, they often change their diet from fish in the water to waterfowl like ducks and geese that are going south, trying to avoid the water getting frozen. And the bald eagles often follow these big flocks of waterfowl because ducks and geese are maybe their second favorite food item. Okay, but bald eagles are very closely associated with the water. They nest near the water. They find their food in the water. They follow the waterfowl, the ducks and geese that are on the water all the time for another source of food. And this was actually something that caused the bald eagle to have a big problem. Because even though the bald eagle is the national bird of the United States of America and has been for many years, the bald eagle at one point was so uncommon that you could hardly find any bald eagles left in the United States except maybe in Florida and way up north in Alaska, because the bald eagle, even though it was the national symbol of the United States, was becoming an endangered bird at risk of becoming extinct, which means they're just gone. They've disappeared and there's no more bald eagles, which is just kind of interesting. How did the bald eagle, the national symbol of the United States, become an endangered bird? Well, part of it was a few people would shoot them because they were afraid that bald eagles would eat their livestock like sheep or chickens or things like that. Some were shot, but it wasn't the reason why they became endangered. The strange reason actually had nothing to do with people shooting them or doing something bad to the eagles. What was happening was farmers and businesses were using a chemical called DDT. That's a short acronym for the chemical DDT, and they were spraying DDT everywhere where there was wetlands because DDT was good at killing mosquitoes. And people in America didn't want to deal with mosquitoes. Almost no one likes mosquitoes anyway. But the mosquitoes, not just because they were annoying, but they also did carry a deadly disease called malaria. So the farmers and the businesses were spraying huge quantities of DDT in wetlands. And although DDT would kill mosquitoes, it didn't necessarily kill any of the birds or the bald eagle. But what was happening was the DDT, which is a very powerful chemical, would end up being sprayed in the air, but it would eventually land in the water. And it would just be there in the water. You couldn't see it, but it was there in the water. And it was getting into the fish because fish live in the water. It was getting into the eagles because eagles eat the fish that are in the water where the DDT was sprayed. And still, the fish weren't dying. The bald eagles weren't dying because it wasn't that kind of chemical that poisoned you. But what was happening was when the DDT got into the fish into the eagles, it also made its way into the eagles' eggs. And their eggs were now being produced with very, very thin eggshells because DDT had an effect of reducing the material of calcium that an eagle and a bird would need to make a nice hard-shelled egg. And the DDT was making the eggshell very weak. And so every time the eagles would sit on their own eggs, they may lay 1, 2, or 3 eggs. Every time they would sit on their eggs, the weight of the bald eagle would crush their eggs, and there'd be no baby birds born that year. And this was happening year after year after year. So even though the adult bald eagles were fine, they weren't dying from poisoning, they were still finding enough food, they had enough habitat for the most part, but they weren't producing any babies because their eggs weren't hatching, and therefore there was no new generation of eagles. And an eagle might live maybe up to 30 years if it was really healthy in the wild, but slowly the birds were reaching 29 years of age, 30 years of age, and they were all dying, and there was no replacement. There were no babies. And so it took many years of the wildlife biologists who needed to study eagles, and finally they made the connection, oh, it's because we sprayed DDT into the water, and we're still doing that, and it's affecting the birds' eggshells, and therefore it's affecting our eagle populations, which at the in the middle of the 1900s, eagles had almost disappeared from the United States of America. But they learned, and quickly they realized that DDT is quite harmful, not necessarily right away, but it has long-term effects. So DDT was banned, and slowly, eagle populations began to rise until today. The bald eagle can be found in all the states of the United States, except for Hawaii, which is too far away for bald eagles. And the bald eagle, quite recently, is no longer considered an endangered bird, which is wonderful news because people realize that our actions can have negative effects on wildlife. And then they took further actions to realize, what do we need to do to recover the bald eagle population? And so today, the bald eagle can be found all over the United States, and many other birds have benefited from DDT being banned. And so today we now get to have bald eagles that we can see. You may have seen one in your state. They are nesting in almost all the states of the United States, which is amazing. And today even you can find large quantities of bald eagles, large numbers of them, which is quite an amazing recovery story. Okay, so I'm going to stop here with the slides. We're going to say goodbye to the bald eagle, Haliaeetus leucocephalus. Everyone say bye-bye to Haliaeetus leucocephalus. Okay, I think you've all said goodbye to that very long name. And give me a second. I'm going to come back to my screen, and we're going to take a short break and see, does anyone have any questions before we move on to the next section? Any questions out there? Anything you'd like to ask about birds of prey or bald eagles? If not, are you raising your hand over there? If you are, you can just unmute yourself. Go ahead and you can unmute yourself if you'd like, and you can go ahead and ask your question before we move on to the next set. You'll have to unmute yourself and just go ahead and shout out your question. If not, don't worry about it. Okay, we are going to move on to the next section. I'm just going to put away my peregrine falcon right here. I'm going to put it back on the shelf because this is now treasure box time with Mr. O. So on my shelf, I have got my treasure chest full of amazing, amazing things. So let's go and take a look. Ooh, this is quite neat. This is very neat. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, this is good too. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You can't see what I'm looking at, can you? Oh, we need to fix that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and change our camera angle so that you can see my tabletop. Hello. Okay, so what I would like you to do is you can either unmute yourself, or maybe you can just even shake your head yes or no, or you can do a thumbs up, a thumbs down, if this animal that I bring out of my treasure box is indeed a bird of prey. Are you ready? So if it's a bird of prey, remember it has to have a sharp hooked beak, it has to have sharp claws called talons, and it needs to be a meat eater. So are you ready? Okay, is this a bird of prey? Let's see.
Oh. No.
Are you
Thumbs
sure?
down,
Are
thumbs
you
down.
sure? I mean, look at the. Isn't that a sharp hooked beak?
No,
That's not a
that's
sharp
the
beak. I got
worst.
so many thumbs down. That was embarrassing. Okay, let's move away. Okay, that was not a bird of prey. How about? Oh, this has got to be a bird of prey. This is a meat eater.
No,
No, are you sure? It is definitely a meat eater, right? But
that's a lion.
this is a lion. Okay, that's ridiculous. Okay, move lion away. Okay, how about ooh. How about this one? Oh, not everyone's so quick to answer. Ooh, we have a thumbs up. We have several thumbs up. Is this a bird of prey? Well, I have some thumbs down. Oh dear. Well, I'm gonna have to break it to you all. This is not a bird of prey. It has some characteristics. This actually does eat meat for the most part. It's a fish eater, but it's actually a kind of heron called the shoebill. And yes, it does have a little bit of a little hook on its beak, but this is not a bird of prey. This is a shoebill. Okay, bye-bye shoebill. Okay, how about this one right here? Okay, let's try this one. Let's see. This one's flying in, so we have to bring it down. Is this a bird of prey? Oh, I think we all agree very much. This is definitely a bird of prey. Now, does anyone want to shout out what kind of bird of prey this is?
A bald eagle.
Oh dear, I knew that was going to be
African fishing eagle.
Oh, thank you very much. This is not a bald eagle. This is something called an African fishing eagle, even though it looks very, 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 very similar to what we just saw. This is a bird of prey. It does eat fish like the bald eagle, and it does have a white tail, and it does have a white head, but it is found in Africa, alongside many other birds of prey. But if you want to see the bald eagle, here it is. This is a bald eagle. So you can see it actually is quite similar. There's a lot of similarities between the two. They're both fishing eagles. They both have white heads. But if you look very carefully, even though this is only a model, you can see the African fishing eagle has a lot more white. Its white goes all the way down its back. It has a lot more white on its chest, whereas the bald eagle is just kind of on the head portion and the neck portion. So those are some differences. But even though it is only a model, you can definitely see that it has its sharp claws, a sharp hooked beak, and even this guy, you can see he is indeed a meat eater. Okay, now we're gonna put these away real quick because I think we can do even better with the minutes that we have left. Let's go ahead and put some habitat here, and we can see if we can. Oh, here's something. Maybe we can put some mountains over here. Maybe something for certain ones. And maybe what we can do is we can try to match the bird of prey that comes out, if it is a bird of prey, of course, with some of the habitat types. Okay, and how about this as well? That should be fun. Okay, so here we go. So African fishing eagle. Oops, I just covered up all the water. Let's remove some of this and we can see the water. So the African fishing eagle would definitely be right next to the water. That's where it likes to live because, of course, fish live in the water. They can't not live in the water. So we'll put this guy right here so he can be catching his fish. Okay, how about the bald eagle? Where should we put the bald eagle? Maybe we can, it is also it likes to be next to the water. Maybe we can put him right here as well. Maybe he's just waiting for a fish to come into his mouth. Okay, how about, first of all, is this a bird of prey or is this not a bird of prey? Okay, how about this one right here? Let's see if you can see it right in the front. Ooh, hello. Is this a bird of prey? Let's see if we can focus that. Let's see. We're getting some thumbs up. We're getting some thumbs down. Ooh, this is a very mixed audience right now.
Parrots or something like that.
It does have some characteristics that would make it look like a bird of prey because it does have a very sharp beak.
Is that a macaw?
Yeah. It actually does have rather sharp claws. They're shaped like an X, which is very interesting. They have two toes in the back, two in the front. But this right here it's a kind of parrot called the hyacinth macaw. And hyacinth macaws pretty much only eat fruit and nuts. So even though it does kind of have the sharp hooked beak, actually has a very sharp hooked beak, its beak isn't used for tearing meat. Instead, it's used for cracking nuts open. So sorry, macaw, you have to go away. You don't belong here with us. I'm so sorry. Okay, how about this guy right here? Okay, here he comes. Okay, here he comes. Oh, Ooh, what is this? Is this a bird of prey or a parrot? What do you think? Oh, I see lots of thumbs up. Well, very good. Definitely a bird
That's
of
good.
prey. And this bird of prey is a white-backed vulture. Now, vultures are interesting because yes, they do have the sharp-hooked beak. Yes, they do have the sharp claws, but vultures almost never catch their own food. Vultures are what are called scavengers because they eat carrion, which is a fancy word for dead meat. So vultures like this are not going to catch their own food, but they still are raptors. They're still birds of prey because they have all the three main characteristics of having their beak, their claws, and they are still meat eaters, even though they've learned they don't need to even waste energy to catch their own food. They just look for dead animals, which can be quite abundant. Now, here's another one. And I'm just going to tell you right away that this one is definitely a raptor, but I just want to bring it to your attention. It's this one right here. Oops. Let's see. Let's zoom up on them. Aha. Okay. Can everyone see that what guy just brought out? This right here is a specific kind of raptor called a condor. This is called the Andean condor from South America. It is the largest bird of prey. It has one of the largest wingspans of any bird in the world. Its wings can reach over 10 feet long. 10 feet long. So it's a massive, massive bird. It is a vulture kind of species in the fact that it does not kill its own food. It actually looks for dead meat, dead animals. And I bring this to your attention because do you remember way back when we learned about cathartiformes? Does anyone remember cathartiformes? Raise your hand if you remember cathartiformes. All those huge words I made you learn. Well, this right here is one of the 7 cathartiformes because this is considered a New World vulture. New World refers to North and South America. That's one clue. These are only found in North and South America. And they are different from these guys right here. These are Old World vultures because this guy and this guy, even though they're found in different continents, there's another major difference between the two in the fact that this guy, the New World vultures, these ones have a very, very developed sense of smell. These guys are very good at smelling, where I don't know if you knew this, but most birds have almost no ability to smell anything. But New World vultures, like this Andean condor, have an extremely developed sense of smell, which is quite useful because as they're soaring in the sky looking for their food is dead meat, which can often smell quite strong. And so the Andean condor uses its developed sense of smell to find its food, whereas the white-backed vulture, like this one right here, they mostly rely on their eyesight. So that's a major, major difference. Okay, we're running out of minutes, so we're just going to bring out one more friend. And this one right here is a bird of prey and is an extremely unique one. It's one of the tallest, it is the tallest bird of prey. It has the longest legs. And this one right here is called the secretary bird. They're found in the African savanna. And the secretary bird is very, very unique because it is a bird of prey because it has a sharp-hooked beak. It has claws called talons, and it eats meat. But they live in the African savanna where the grass is quite tall. So they actually have very long legs. So they can run in the grass, higher than the grass, and still see over and find their food. Okay, well, we are unfortunately down to our last couple of minutes. So you can all say goodbye to these wonderful birds of prey. And I'm going to switch my camera and you have to look at me. So here we go. We do have about 2 minutes left. I don't have time, unfortunately, to answer your questions, but if you do have a question, make sure that your teachers or your parents, they can just email me, or if they use WhatsApp, they can WhatsApp me. Please send me any questions you have about birds of prey, about these ones, about any of the ones that we learned about today, or any other biology questions that you may have. Now, before we actually sign off, I'd just like to mention that we do have more classes coming up. I have one more class tomorrow. It'll be at the exact same time. It will actually be about my very favorite group of birds. I would say raptors, birds of prey are my second favorite group. My first favorite group, I'm not gonna even tell you what it is because you can just look behind me and see if it's not a raptor, it's what else is behind me, which I'll let you figure out what that is. It's my absolute favorite group of birds. And tomorrow we're gonna learn about them. And I just will let you know that tomorrow we have a really special presentation that involves live whatever these things are, whatever my favorite group of birds are. We're going to learn about this group of birds, which I'm not telling you what it is, and we get to see live ones that are with me, and we're going to do something super fantastic with them tomorrow. So I hope to see some of you join me again tomorrow. And also beyond tomorrow, I'm just about to publish my list of new classes, which will cover all the way through the first week of June. So I do hope to see you all in the future, but on behalf of Compassion Education, thank you very much for joining us today. And if you'd like to at this point, you can go ahead and turn off your, turn on your videos, unmute yourself, and we can all say goodbye and to one another.
You're all saying
Bye.